Hi, Pat the podcast editor here. This week Dan and Lloyd are going to be talking about a book that influenced the growth of the business in a very big way. They're going to be reading some excerpts from Agencynomics by Spencer Gallagher and Peter Hall.
I know what a book's good when we send each other photos and put it in our WhatsApp group of things that we've read, like this is really powerful, and these are those things.
Now, those are strong words. But to see just how much this book has changed things, we need to go back to the Dark Ages, long before Agencynomics.
I remember I was on holiday in Spain and I got a phone call from you saying, Dan, you know, like our spreadsheets and stuff, we've thought we've got like 20 grand in the business. And I was like, yeah. And you went, well, no one's paying us and we've got minus 30 grand.
Yeah. Today we're going to hear all about EBITDA, whatever that is, as well as the power of under-promising and over-delivering. We'll even learn a thing or two about the human body.
Yeah, I'm just, for listeners and not viewers, I'm flapping around trying to find the next page. I thought the viewers would know that, but the listeners wouldn't have.
Probably right, because their ears can't see.
Right, let's dive in. Reading glasses at the ready. This is episode 47 of the Business Anchors podcast.
We're just a couple of business anchors. Welcome to the Business Anchors podcast. This jingle is slightly too long. This jingle is slightly too long.
I think this book has provided the most value and growth for our agency out of any book, or almost anything, ever.
That is a big statement. What, even more than me as a person?
Yeah.
Oh!
Well, no, not quite more than you, but it genuinely has. And I think that's why we want to do a podcast episode on it, because we're going to read through some of the bits that we've got the most value from, and
I can also tell that you're a marketer because you've called it this book, so that at the moment people are clinging on.
Oh, that was completely by accident.
What's the book going to be? Oh,
well, I mean, it's in the title of the podcast, so
right, okay.
that we haven't written yet, but it will be.
Yeah, I do agree. I think it's been massively important for our business, and I spoke to Spencer. So Agencynomics is written by Spencer Gallagher and Peter Hall. Hall? Did that sound strange? Hall? No. And spoke to Spencer, and he said he's more than happy for us to read some excerpts. So if you haven't read the book, you'll be hearing some short bits, and obviously if you like it, go and help those guys out and buy the book, because they've massively helped our business.
I also think it's important to say this isn't just a book for people who have an agency. It is called Agencynomics, and it's focused around growing an agency, but most of the tips can be applicable to any business, or if you're in marketing.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I reckon about 75% of the book is just, if you have a business, it'll be good advice for you.
Yeah.
And then there's some more niche stuff that's like if you're an agency.
Yeah.
But yeah. So shall we begin? Gather round, children. So I'm going to
also just one more. The sections we've got are the bits. I know what a book's good when we send each other photos and put it in our WhatsApp group of things that we've read, like this is really powerful, and these are those things.
Yeah. So firstly, starting with one that sounds boring,
okay,
but very useful.
Yeah.
And it's not boring, Spencer and Peter, obviously. Cash flow forecast.
Oh god, this is where everyone drops off on the podcast. Does it get better than this?
This has made us loads of money, guys. So even if you think it's boring, if you want more money, Incredibly important, yet used by few businesses, a cash flow forecast looks at the amount of money your company is in possession of at any one time and how that maps out in the short to medium term. The profit and loss forecast won't do this, as there is a distinct difference between profit and loss and cash surpluses and deficits.
See, I reckon a lot of business owners are listening thinking, oh yeah, of course we do that, but we never did we?
Yeah, we...
Tell the story,
cash
actually.
Forecast, so I'll tell you where we are now, thanks to Agencynomics and some of our input. We do have our own brains as well, but this is what actually made us start doing it. Now, for the next 6 months, we have an estimated number that is going to be in the business bank account from all the money coming in for great work we're doing, all the money going out for our staff and rent, and all the costs of buying weird stuff that we buy for video shoots. And so obviously to make business decisions, that's great. We can go, can we hire another person this month? Well, yeah, we've got the cash in the bank and we're not going to fail as a business. Why are you smirking at me?
Because I'm remembering of the backstory of why this... I remember I was on holiday in Spain, and I got a phone call from you saying, Dan, you know, like our spreadsheets and stuff, we've thought we've got like 20 grand in the business. And I was like, yeah. And you went, well, no one's paying us and we've got minus 30 grand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like...
Yeah, we looking at all the profit and loss accounts, like, oh, business is making a profit. This is good. Things are going well. And like Dan said, we weren't forecasting like when the money was coming in. So it was at some point from clients, and we were spending loads on like projects that had just started. And yeah, it was that thing of, why is everywhere we look it's saying we're making these profits, but we're getting more and more in debt?
Yeah.
Why is that happening?
Yeah.
So yeah, and now it doesn't happen because of that, and we can. And I know it's the stressful thing as a business owner of going, oh, I'm in a massive overdraft, or I'm in debt and stuff. But it wasn't as much that for us because we had confidence in the business that that cash would increase. But it's actually been able to make decisions that affect the long term.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just for listeners and not viewers, I'm flapping around trying to find the next page. I thought the viewers would know that, but the listeners wouldn't have
Probably right, because their ears
that.
can't see.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my logic. So, now I'm going to show how my lack of knowledge before reading this book, and say I had never heard of an EBITDA before reading this.
Oh, I don't think many people would have.
Oh, really? I
don't think so, no.
Okay.
So let's just say it again.
EBITDA.
So, listeners, have you heard of that? I bet most of you haven't.
Yeah, no. So I'll read the section and then we can discuss it.
Yeah.
So, lastly, to conclude on agency finances, it is essential to understand how your company is valued. This gives you a scorecard to monitor how well your asset is growing in value and bring some sanity to the chaos of everyday agency life. The value of your company is usually based on a multiple of EBITDA, i.e. your earnings before interest. I was waiting for the first time until I mucked up something. Audible, if you're listening, you know where I am. Your earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization. I'm going to stop it there and then talk about stuff. So, there's lots of good stuff on EBITDA. But lots of people are building their business to potentially sell. Or they just want something when they're building their business to be like, what's my business worth? Is it increasing in value? So am I doing good stuff? And especially if people are trying to build a scalable business to sell at some point, rather than a lifestyle business of, you enjoy the work you do and you are the business. You are the business and you want to continue it forever. And when you step away, the business will die. Oh, that sounds very, that's absolutely fine. But if you're building a business to sell, then this figure that they show you how to work out.
Yeah, it literally gives you a breakdown in the book of how to figure out what your agency or what your business is worth, which...
And then again, like we were saying about, why is it useful long term for your business or whatever? You can do that calculation quarterly, every 6 months, every year, and be like, right, I've been working hard all this year. Has the work I've done or my team has done actually increased the value of the business? And it's quite a nice thing to say, all that hard work we've been doing is doing the job and we're growing.
And if it hasn't, then you need to change
something.
There
are things, without working this kind of thing out. So say, during the pandemic, we've gone from a team of 4 to a team of 10. And it's like, so that looks like we have grown our business. There's lots of businesses that fall into the trap, I think, of thinking we've grown as in, look at the people here. But that doesn't necessarily increase the value of your business.
It's like, look, we've said about this before. If we grow now from 10 to 30 people, but we're earning the same profit, we've got that's ridiculous because we've got all the extra stress that comes with having an extra 20 people to manage, but the profit isn't growing. So,
yeah. EBIT, duh. Right. Now, this next section is something that our dad actually taught us back in the day as our kind of business mentor, but it goes into this a bit more. So, under promise, over deliver.
Love this one.
In our experience, most agencies overservice their clients, but there's a fine line between overservicing your clients at an acceptable amount or a moderate to excessive amount. An acceptable amount would be up to 15%. A moderate to excessive amount would be over 15 to 20%, and an excessive amount would be over 20%. If you lose one client that's less than 15% of your income, then in most cases this will be less than or equal to the agency's annual profits. This would mean for a short period of time the agency would be at a break-even point, and with that, focus can bounce back quickly. Any client losses over 15% could mean having to lose staff in the short term, and it goes on to lots of brilliant stuff. So I guess what we always spoke about with under promise over deliver was the side of things, and that Dad sort of showed us of. Make sure if you over promise and under deliver, your customers will constantly be disappointed. So you're not going to get people coming back spending more money so you can grow your business, do what you want to do. If you're under promising and then you're over delivering, that gives you the opportunity to exceed expectations and people get really excited about it.
I think from a sales perspective, for me, I've in the past, analysing myself, I've over-promised, because when you're trying to sell something, you want to put it in its best light possible. But I've learned in the past that, when we were starting out, I was maybe overselling stuff and over-promising, and then it was more difficult to deliver. So it's trying to get that balance of.
It's a bit like when you met your fiance and you told her you were good in the bedroom, isn't it? Like when you over-promise like that and then you under-deliver.
Is it?
Yeah. Moving on.
You're being really inappropriate today.
Oh, well, sorry. Was that inappropriate? Sorry, listeners. I apologise. What Spencer and Peter were saying in that excerpt there was the other side of it, of like, yes, you want to over-deliver, but you've got to be careful how much you over-deliver, because
then it doesn't become sustainable.
Risk. If you're pricing out a project or a new customer, and then you over-deliver by 25%, and your profit on that project's 20%, then you're losing money doing all that work.
And if Lloyd was just running the business, then we would be over-delivering and not earning any profit, because he'd just give everything away to charity.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Right. Now, moving on to the next section, where I'll be appropriate throughout. Day rates.
Oh, exciting stuff.
This is
actually really...
I will admit there's not as much entertainment in this episode, but it's going to be really valuable for people growing businesses, okay? All right? All right, anchors? So if you're bored, you should be, all right? So that still means it's good.
Keep reassuring yourself.
Having the wrong, in brackets, on the low side day rate will affect profitability. No matter how well you sell, project manage, or deliver your services, without the correct day rate, you will be fighting a losing battle. We touched on setting your day rates a little earlier in the finance section of the book, mainly getting you to focus on a competitive market rate. However, we can now expand on this in more detail. There are typically 3 ways to approach day rates. The first way is as follows. Add up your total overhead. Were you waving at me, Dan?
No, I was itching my eye.
Oh, cool.
Trying to stay awake.
Okay. Then work out the number of days you have available to sell through your team. Let's say you have 1,400 days available to sell. Then it's overhead divided by capacity is your break-even day rate. Right, I'm going to stop reading the details. I've realised that's not great. But this section really, for me, especially when we're building a team, made me realise how important the amount we charge for our team's time is. And at first, it kind of appears like, wow, when I first was looking at this, I thought, cool, that's a big number for our team's time. That seems quite a lot. And then I realised, obviously, our team are brilliant and we're brilliant, so it's worthwhile. But also, to cover all of the costs of running the business,
in addition to
that, to have a successful business. And if you get it wrong, there's even been projects, I'll admit, that I've made mistakes. So there's projects in the past where we've priced it out at a specific day rate and things. And at the end of it, I thought that was a really interesting, creative thing to work on.
But we've lost money.
Yeah, it wasn't profitable because we didn't charge enough for our team's time. And our team are brilliant, so we need to. So yeah, that was an important part for me.
How do people come up with what to charge? Because I think most businesses, like cleaners, would be thinking, oh, most cleaners charge 30 quid an hour, 20 quid an hour. We'll just charge that. But if you're not working out how many staff do you have, what are all the overheads you've got?
And I think that's why this book is so good for any business, because like they said earlier in the book, they say about how to make it so it's kind of a good market rate, so you'll be able to win business and you're not crazily too expensive and you're not screwing yourself over by paying not enough. But in that section, it goes through different calculations you can use for something that actually makes sense for your business. And I think that's so useful to people, because that's one of those things in lots of lines of work. It's like, someone goes, can you give us a quote? And in reality, you business owners out there are thinking, I don't know. What should I charge for this? And I think to have an exact calculation is, I think that's really
something
helpful.
else I really like about this book throughout. There's tons of calculations for stuff. It's not one of those books, like I've read a few books recently that are really good and motivating and think, that's interesting. This is like, here's the exact equation to work out this element of your business. And we've actually taken that and then used the equations and the templates to do.
I agree, and I think that's what sets this book apart, is Spencer and Peter have been very generous with the value that the kind of stuff they've learnt over the years. It's very rare that you have books that go into this like a how-to guide of, we're literally going to tell you step by step exactly how to do things.
And it's still interesting to read, because I find some how-to books are just informative and boring, but they tell stories as well in this, which makes it more interesting.
Yeah, we're reading some of the more like value-adding excerpts, which probably undersells the book, guys. But like Dan said, there's stories about when Spencer and Peter have been growing agencies and helping agencies around the world, which makes it quite entertaining, as well as this like really value-adding stuff.
What we got next, Lloyd?
So now, something that's very appropriate for us as business partners. So if you've got a co-founder or if you're working alongside someone, this, I think, will be useful. Where possible, make sure one of you is managing and focusing on the external part of the business, and one of you is managing and focusing on the internal part of the business. That way, you have at least one of you externally focused on sales and marketing, and at least one of you internally focused on the operational and delivery part of the agency.
I remember taking a photo of this and instantly sending it to you and thinking, after we properly defined our roles, and saying, this makes me so confident that what we're doing is right.
And again, so simple when you just read that short paragraph. It's like, of course, that makes complete sense. But until you read and read more into how to do that, it's... Because
we mentioned before, when we started out, we were just doing bits of everything, weren't we?
Yep.
And then some things didn't get done because I thought you were doing it, vice versa. But now we've had it done for a while, but we've got properly defined roles within the business, so we know who's doing what, who's responsible for what.
And we've spoken about it before in the podcast, but actually trying to make sure within the business you have people whose skills suit these things. So luckily me and Dan found it out over time that Dan was much better at the sales and marketing and the outward focusing stuff, and I was much better on the inward focusing, like how can our business work. And this book covers both sides actually, which is great.
We try to avoid getting you in front of people because your face kind of scares them.
Yes, my face, the things I say, everything really. So this is actually the final bit of value from this book that we're going to read today. But just to let you know, we could have had thousands of different things from this book, but this one I think is really important. So take the time to talk to individuals and understand what they would like from both their job and their life outside of work, and review this as often as possible. If you align your organisation with the goals of the individuals, then your people will become invested in your organisation. For a small agency, this may take the form of an informal one-to-one meeting, and for larger businesses, this may be via more formal appraisals. Either way, it's important to get this done. So,
I really
the way
like that.
I describe this is actually give a shit about people. So in our interviews and in our appraisals, we ask the team if they have any goals in their career later on, even outside of their business or inside of our business, and what they are trying to achieve, and we kind of try and set out that we want to support them doing that, and then take actions to do that if they have a dream or a goal that they want to achieve. Some people are much more happy, kind of like, I'm doing what I'm doing at the moment,
I'm fine.
Good, and it's fine. So we don't have those plans in place, but some people are kind of like, I want to get here, I want to do this. It might be, I want to be directing feature films in 15 years time, and I've got a long way to go. And then it's like, okay, well, what can you learn within this business, and what can we help you do? What will be valuable to our business and for you? And I just think it makes sense. It makes so much sense.
To actually make an environment where we're supporting people and
And it's not just me. You take the piss out of me in our business of just being like, oh, help everyone, help the world, and the business is going to fail because we give away everything.
Yeah.
It's more like that's going to be valuable for our business. We're going to be able to attract and keep the best people we could have in this business if we're supporting them, and we're not like, if someone's going to say, oh, in 5 years' time, I'd like to be doing this other thing. If we're a business that goes, well,
get out,
you're going to leave, so I'm just going to be a dick to you all the time and make sure you have a terrible time.
Yeah.
That's just not good for anyone.
No.
Whereas the business could get 5 years of brilliant value, the employee could get 5 years of brilliant value, and
I think that's what people forget as well, because you're still getting value, hopefully both ways, when someone's here, even if they've got plans to, travel the world in 5 years or something. You're still both contributing to the value of.
When you look at people's careers these days, it's much rarer that someone starts in a job when they're 21 and they're there until they're 65.
Yeah.
So it would be unreasonable to think that everyone is going to stick within the business for decades.
But if they're enjoying themselves while they're here and providing value, I think we've done our job.
Yeah. So I think that's really, really important. And that's more of the that's one of the more fluffy bits that isn't like, here's this calculation.
Yeah.
Do exactly that. But I think it's so
just
important.
give a shit about people.
Yeah. And I would say, guys, if you're going to read this book, do what Dan and I did. So Dan mainly did this, just taking pictures of bits that are really important and save them somewhere. Because when you're reading a book, when there's so much value in a book, you can read a load of stuff and you forget half of it. But that's
some people
really
like
good.
Highlighting and stuff. I'm not into that, but I do like the.
Not into highlighting.
Well, no, because I don't know. It's just annoying when you try. I read in bed mainly, and it's just annoying.
Don't have a highlighter next to your bed.
No.
Oh, okay. Just highlighting in his hair. He likes. Cool. Okay, Dan.
But there's loads more in the book, isn't there? I mean, you've just given a flavour.
Just thought I'd give you a bit of a taster. We're actually meeting Spencer and Peter for the first time in person in the next couple of days, and we've been thinking about the book a lot more and stuff, and thought that would be something really useful for a lot of listeners potentially.
Yeah.
So it's on Audible as well. I listened to the book the first time.
Do they read it? I can't remember.
No, I believe it's someone related to them or their business that reads it. It's a lady's voice that's very nice to listen to.
Nice voice? That does make a difference if an Audible.
Yeah. It's quite a relaxing voice, actually, which is good when there's some detail in there.
Yeah.
Not to get too...
Reading equations.
Yeah. But yeah, that's great.
Cool.
So, Business Anchors, we hope that's provided you some value. And we will be what are we talking about next week, Dan? We're talking about...
how to spot agency catfish.
Marketing agency catfishes. So you can avoid being scammed and ripped off.
Is it catfish or fishes?
Catfish. Yeah, did I say fishes?
Yeah.
Yes, the plural of fish is fish, I believe. Yeah. So that's another bit of value for you. Bonus at the end there, listeners. If you want us to talk about any more plurals. Plurals? Is plurals the plural of plurals? Plural?
Oh, shut up.
Okay, see you next week, guys.
Bye.